Hi, today we're going to talk a little bit about the role of promotion in the marketing mix. A few goods or services, no matter how well developed, priced, and distributed, can survive in the marketplace without effective promotion. Communication by marketers that informs people, persuades, and reminds potential buyers of a product in order to influence the opinion or elicit a response. So promotion is the optimal use of the elements of promotion. So you have advertising, public relations, personal selling, sales promotion, and social media. The main function of a marketer's promotional strategy is to convince the target that the goods and/or services offered provide a competitive advantage. A competitive advantage is a set of unique features of a company and its products that are perceived as superior over the competition. These features are listed on the table. Marketing communication. I'm going to discuss the communication process. Communication. Promotional strategy is closely related to the process of communication. As humans, we assign meanings to feelings, facts, attitudes, and emotions. So communication is the process by which meaning are exchanged or shared through a common set of symbols. Communication can be divided into two major categories: interpersonal communication and mass communication. Interpersonal communication is direct face-to-face communication between two or more people. Mass communication refers to communicating a concept or a message to a larger audience, usually through the use of some mass medium, such as television, newspapers, social media, etc. When a company advertises, it does not know the consumers personally, nor is it able to respond immediately to reactions to advertising messages. Instead, the marketing manager must wait and see how people are reacting to the mass communicated promotion. Any cluster from competitors' message or other distractions can reduce the effectiveness of the mass communication effort. So marketing communication, we have as senders and receivers. Marketers are both senders and receivers of the message. As senders, marketers inform, persuade, and/or remind the target market to adopt courses of action. As receivers, marketers attune themselves to the target market in order to develop and adapt messages and spot new communication opportunities. Marketing communication is a two-way process. Sender and encoding. So the sender is the originator of the message in the communication process. Encoding is the conversion of a sender's ideas and thoughts into the message. Channel and noise. Channel is the medium that the communication is used to transmit the message from the sender to the receiver. Noise is anything that interferes, distorts, or slows down the transmission of information. So the receiver. Receiver is the person who decodes the message in the communication process. Decoding is the interpretation of the message transmitted by the sender. So the communication process looks something like this. Marketing communication is, again, a two-way process, and this slide demonstrates how something is communicated from the sender to the receiver and back and forth. Okay, the feedback channel and how noise interferes. So the sender originates the message. Encoding is the conversion of the sender's ideas and thoughts into the message, usually using words or signs. Transmission of a message requires a channel, some communication medium. Reception occurs when the message is detected by the receiver. Transmission may be hindered because of noise. And noise, remember, is anything that interferes with, distorts, or slows down the transmission of the information. And then decoding is the interpretation of the language or symbols that are sent. Decoding is the interpretation of the language and symbols sent. Proper match between the message to be conveyed and the target market's attitude is the job of the marketing manager. Differences in culture, age, social class, education, ethnicity can lead to miscommunications, as we discussed in Chapter 8. So marketers targeting consumers in foreign countries must also concern themselves about the translation and any miscommunication issues. You may remember back in the 70s, the Ford came out with a car called the Nova. In Spanish, Nova means it doesn't go. So obviously that car didn't sell very well. Since mass communications are cut off from direct feedback, they rely on marketing research, which we have discussed in Chapter 9, or analysis of proper perceptions for indirect feedback. So communication and the internet. Traditional advertising was impersonal, numbers driven, and unquantifiable as far as consumer behavior is concerned. However, with the advent of social media over a decade ago, advertising has now become personal, direct, feedback driven, and highly visible. So social media has really changed the communication platform between the sender in the marketing mix, which would be us, to the receivers, which is also us, depending on the products.